Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having us.
I want to talk a little bit about the creative impetus for this. Is there an iteration of this film that had dialogue, or what was the inspiration?
Here, I'll speak for him. Greg Silverman right here. As I understand the story, it was his brainchild. He wanted something that could be a shared experience for everybody internationally. So, no dialogue, right?
That's exactly right.
And I believe he called, Chet's here, Chad St. John. I think, if the story goes, I think he called Chad St. John and said, I have the craziest idea for a movie with no dialogue, and Chad's crazy enough to go, I think I'll take that job. And that was about all the premise was just no dialogue. And he whipped up Motor City, which is like the coolest masterpiece for an action Shakespearean drama ever. Right? Is that right?
That's exactly right. And this is the dream, to bring it to you. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. What a special night. And to have these guys execute Chad's script, absolute dream. You guys are the best.
Hard to screw up genius. You too.
Patsy, you've worked in genre before with westerns and crime comedies. What was your process of making this film?
Giant question. It was, I think it was trying to find, well, first immersing ourselves in that world, and and I think we watched a million old noir 70s films, and I just kind of felt that vibe, and then we begged Greg for 30 days of wet downs on all the streets. But it really was, when we found the cast and all these pieces came into play, it was really just the conversations between all of us trying to find those characters and really, bring each of the characters to life in a way that was authentic to that moment. I mean, it when you get a script, I think every time you cast a different person in that role, and those roles start to come in, it changes the script. It's you see the way that Alan plays it, and Ben plays it, and Shay plays it, and other Ben plays it, and it's it adjusts what you're making, and it becomes something organic that is constantly being rebuilt and live as you're filming it. So it's a lot of fun.
For the cast, what were some of the challenges of working on the film, and did you have to rehearse or get to know each other to make sure the dynamic was there, and having to communicate and express yourself without the dialogue?
Well, thankfully, Shailene and I have worked together before. She was Marissa Cooper's younger sister on the OC. Deep cut, you guys. So I knew Shailene well. It's been a few decades, so it was easy for us to get back. But it was really nice to reconnect and to share the screen with no dialogue. Yeah, no, it was fantastic.
Yeah. Go.
I mean, listen, there's a thing that happens with all of us, right? We use words, and it can be very distracting because we tell the world a story and we're telling ourselves a story, and then there's the truth somewhere within both of those stories. And when you have a movie that has no dialogue, the veil between the truth and the story becomes a lot thinner. And that, to me, was the most exciting part of playing in this world, was just being able to dive into the truth and then decide how much of that you actually want to reveal with your dance partners, your sparring partners, the people that you're exchanging energy with. And we're very fortunate to have a filmmaker like Patsy who set the stage for us and gave us the space and the breadth to be able to exchange without a crunch of time, even though there was a huge crunch of time because it's a very independent film. But the freedom and the trust that he gave us as collaborators to see what happened when there were strict boundaries within what these characters could do and couldn't do, but no color in between. He really allowed us to paint the colors, and that's a gift that I think, for me at least, for the rest of my career, I will always be in reverence of this film because of that particular opportunity.
Yes. I think what do you really want to know? The on-set dynamics. Did we fight? Did we all get along? Were we method and didn't talk at all on set? It was like a really great working environment, and it was one of the things I took away from it was you get somebody like Potsy, who I just think is a genius. A good example of that, if you caught it, was this really cool oneer that he designed, where I come park the car, I get out, I go in the convenience store. There's so much information happening in that scene. There's a shot of the newspaper clipping, right, which you show our history in the military. It's the, it's the guy that I served with working the counter. You don't know that. In the same shot, I just dropped the change. The car disappeared in one of the pans, or tilting down to the counter. That kind of thing. When he told me that's how he set it up, I was like, that is so good, because it wasn't on the page like that. It was just like, that's genius. And yet, he's like this. It's like this open season for ideas. Our production designer, Burns, a friend of mine, love the guy, also very smart. We were in the jail cell, and trying to come up with a good way to like cut somebody with the Jolly Rancher. And Burns is like, hey, why don't we like look in the toilet bowl, like use the toilet bowl as a reflection, and just have him sit there and like do it, blind. I'm like, and we took it and ran. It's like from a production designer. It's one of the coolest moments in the film. It's like it's a community, that I think starts with Potsy, and it just like works. The ideas flow, and you get something like this.
I'm going to turn it over to the audience to ask your questions. Please ask about the elevator, but any other questions as well? Yes, right there.
So many about the elevator, but obviously the music is huge. I can't imagine the budget. I loved hearing full songs. That was wonderful. I'm curious about the choices. In some cases, the music matched what we were watching. In some cases, it was in opposition. How were those choices made? Tell us about that.
Did everyone hear it? Yeah. Okay. Good projection.
Great projection. Joe Galdo, where's Joe Galdo? Joe's our editor. There he is. Stand up, Joe. Joe and I spent many hours trying different songs. There was a few songs that we had ahead of time, like Nights in White Satin, Donna Summers. Those were ones we knew we wanted. We sat there, Matashek and I spent hours paper cutting Nights in White Satin to this breakout jailbreak scene. We knew every second that was going to be filmed and what the angle was and how that was going to unfold. But the rest of the songs were really Joe spending the hours of 4 in the afternoon till 4 in the morning, trying thousands of songs in these places. And so, as we narrow it down, we both get excited. Like the chain, that scene was edited. We dropped that in, and there was some weird magic that happened. It was the song has kind of a turn of tone at various points, and they matched up perfectly. It was like Wizard of Oz and watching Wizard of Oz with Pink Floyd, or with Pink Floyd, yes. So Joe, thank you for all the help on that. And then getting those songs cleared was another issue, but but yeah, it was just a lot of trial and error. And Ben gets credit for Cat People, even though it was 1982. We let that one slide because it just fit perfectly. So, yeah, John Matashek, where are you at? John Matashek. John Matashek is the DP on this, and in a very visual forward movie, you need somebody like Matashek. He's been a longtime friend. We did Little Henry, we did a show together. And so I think there was one point when Berg said, I never met a DP and director that had the same brain. and that was just from months of Matashek and I in prep, like literally living together for day in and day out and riding electric bikes to work and every step of the way talking about every moment that we're going to do in this journey. So yeah, it's those, like he was saying, it is a community. It's everyone bringing their piece of this puzzle to the page, and it creates something great, we hope. So.
Okay, great question. Yes. What's the best advice you've received in terms of telling a story visually?
Yeah, you're right. It's a good question. Anybody else have an answer?
Yeah, does it feel true? Does it feel true? And Potsy's eye and gave us all space to be together. One can say this is a needle drop film, limited dialogue, but it's much more than that. And secrets out, but our fantastic editor, which we should give a round of applause for. Cut this film, Secrets Out, silently. No music, no dialogue. He watched human behavior, and that is much credit to our dear director, Potsy here, who created an environment for actors to listen and be together, improvise behaviorally. And that grounds it so it has the explosions of choreographed fight sequences, but also the humanity of the love triangle that is at the heart of this tale. So I think that's the guts of this film.
Be my publicist, please. Hired.
Want to take a shot at it? Or that was great.
No, I can't follow that. That was great. What Ben said.
Yes. What's the biggest thing? What's the biggest thing you learned that you'll do differently from filming this film?
$100 million films only.
We were very budget restricted, but I think the biggest thing I learned, I didn't have a huge action background. Alan absolutely has an action background, so it quickly became like those were my favorite days. Was like exploring that action and all the prep that goes into it, and he has an amazing stunt double, but also fight choreographer, and it was just kind of watching them to build it, but then work with me and Matashek on how do we keep that within our style and our tone of camera work, and how do we choreograph these fights, and it was such a collaborative it was an amazing collaborative moment to kind of sit back and learn, but also we got in there and we got dirty, and we had a convertible parked on the lot for a week, and every time you walked outside there was like somebody else getting thrown over the windshield in practice. So it was a lot of fun kind of really getting into that action side. So I think that was the biggest takeaway.
Alan, you did double duty. You're a producer on this film, and it's not your first time producing, but how did you want to contribute when you came on as a producer, and did you feed into a lot of the action stuff as well?
Thanks. I feel like I'm quality control guy. I have an obsessive need to just make sure everything's right and the best version of what it can be with whatever tools and constraints we have. That's always different. It's a moving target, but in each moment you can go this could be better if we did this, and that's kind of just what I do. That's like what I do. And when it came to this film, I saw it as an action film. It's like a very poetic Shakespearean drama, of course. And when we would have conversations, I would feel you leaning much more into that, which is necessary, because it was your poetry's throughout the film, stringing those action scenes, making them make sense and feel like exclamation marks on a sentence. But it was action first for me. That was my focus. That's what I felt like I could contribute. And so we would, when I say we, Ryan Taryn, he's a fight designer and was my stunt double for a long time. We worked together to design these things, and I was working on season 3 of Reacher. We were shooting, if you saw it, the fight with Pauly, who's Olivier Richter. He's a giant, and we were in a pool for a couple weeks. I would fight Olivier in the pool. I'd get out soaking wet. We'd have 20 minutes to turn around. And Ryan and I would write in final draft the elevator fight or whatever, and which was 7 pages, and the convertible fight was 12. It's just here's everything we would do if we had unlimited funds, and we would just develop that way and bring all that information to set when we finally showed up. And,
I would get texts throughout the day of and emails of these, these, like you said, these. If we had endless money, which we didn't, so then we'd get in the office, we'd read it, and be like, shit. What can we do of this?
So one thing we were going to do in the convertible fight, one thing we really wanted to do, we fought hard to keep it, was one of the things we had to let go of, was I get a hold of a seatbelt, wrap it around his neck, and then we reverse fortunes. And so I fall out of the convertible, and I'm sort of skiing on a seatbelt, and he sees a Mack truck coming, and he steers me into a Mack truck, and I bounce up the front of the Mack truck through the windshield, and out the side window, still holding onto the thing. And I mean, you know, it would have been fun to watch. It was really cool. It would have been fun to watch. It made sense.
It didn't make the film.
It did not. Yeah, it did not make the camera even. But anyway, so that was it. Like, how can we elevate this thing by making you know, bigger, more specific fights and bring our style to it.
Like the action?
Yeah.
The prison escape set piece is also incredible. We can talk about. Hopefully, somebody will ask about that. Or you can also talk about whose brainchild was that?
The prison escape?
The prison escape.
That basically morphed once we found the prison, and finding a prison you can get into in New Jersey that in your mind has, you know, the two tiers, like Shawshank Redemption. You want that prison, you want that gorgeous prison. So I think Matashek and I and the producers, we toured more prisons than I ever want to tour again. So we found this prison in Paterson, New Jersey that they were in the process of tearing down, and we had to go deal with the union and figure out how, but we got them to hold off tearing it down. So when we got in there, we could do anything we wanted to it. It was pretty amazing. And so, you know, our whole first week was in this just swampy, no air conditioning, no power shell of a prison. And it was like, that was our intro to the whole movie was, you know, 12-hour days in that hellhole. I say that lovingly because it was great, but it was hell the first week.
The funnest part was just knowing, like, we'd said it 30 times a day, I guess, to check ourselves, but it was like, definitely no reshoots. It's not going to be here the second we're done. It's like, that's kind of reassuring as an actor. We're like, you can't come back.
And to answer your question, you know, walking through that prison, so Matashek and I would spend hours in there, you know, just kind of walking through and trying to figure out how do you make shooting in a cell, because in the script originally, a lot of those scenes were scripted in his cell, and it's, you know, it's a 8x6 box that's really not film friendly. And so, you know, we found that beautiful courtyard on the roof, and we found the kind of that common area in the middle. And so we sort of took some of those scenes out of the cell and made them more, you know, just opened our world up a little bit, which you know, was very location based. So
We have time for one or two more questions. Yes. Yes, you.
How did you get Jack White to do it? What was the process like? And how did you get him to be in the movie?
How did you get Jack White to do it? All of it.
I'm gonna let Greg take it. You guys, this was John Berg was the mastermind behind that, I believe.
Yeah, my partner John Berg, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, but sends his love to everybody, really worked on that, and we wanted somebody from Detroit too, you know. So Jack was sort of our Detroit whisperer, as well as helping us with a lot of the music and really trying to put his stamp on it as well. I thought he was great in the movie. I don't know if you guys, everybody caught him in the movie. But, you know, and about the music, just quickly, everybody helped us. All of those music acts, like a movie like this cannot afford that music without those people watching the movie and saying they wanted to be a part of it too. And Jack was really helpful with making sure those people could see the movie, know if they approved being in the movie at the prices we had, maybe they could be a part of Potsy's vision, and thankfully they all said yes.
Last question. What are you most proud about in making this film?
Who would you like to answer? Who do you want to hear answer that question the most? All of us. Thank you. Okay. Okay, we'll take turns then. Yes. Greg Silverman. What are you most proud of about this film?
Yeah, that it got made. I mean, it's kind of a miracle these days that any movie gets made. And we were so desperate to get this story and this movie to you. And Chad had done such an incredible job on this script. It deserved to get made, but it's still really hard. And so we're just really grateful, not really proud, I would say we're really grateful to be here for you and with you. I mean, what we do is for you. We talk about it all the time, you know, and Potsy, someone asked the question about how do you visually do, he just kept saying, guys, trust the audience. They're really smart. They will get this. Trust the audience. And so we're so happy to see you guys get the movie. And so I think that's what we're most grateful for.
Speaking on that, I mean, and I've had this experience, you make a movie sometimes and there are producers that want to challenge the creative and put their stamp on it and go against it in a different, if you're not on the same page with the producers, it can be a disaster. And Greg and John Berg they were the greatest partners. This was by far the hardest movie I've ever done. We had financial problems along the way. We had scheduling, I think we lost 9 days from beginning to end. It was supposed to be 37 days. It was 28 days. But every step of the way, they were so in sync with what we wanted to make and just pushing. I mean, every day pushing. And you don't find producers that do that. And I think there was one weekend we went home on a Friday and Mashak and I got on our electric bikes in Brooklyn about to ride home, and I was like, we might not. I love those electric bikes. It was so much fun. We had a blast. But we didn't know if we were coming back Monday, and we get a call Sunday night, and Greg's like, "Get to work Monday." It was like, so it really was a magical thing to have producers that were so in sync with the overall vision and gave us the space to do it. So, cheers to them.
We're thrilled that you brought this experience to Toronto. Thank you so much, and thank you for answering your questions, and thank you for your questions.